Hello, and welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons live stream. So, yeah, this is another Wednesday night stream because there was a death in the family the past weekend, so it was a long 4-day weekend of kind of funeral ceremonies and things. So when Tuesday came around this time, so Monday night, it just wasn't. It would have been a very dark, depressing stream. So I opted to just hold off a couple of days until I recovered a little bit. But I made it this week, and got to get some cartoons done. So thanks for joining me. And if this is the first time watching this stream, this is a single panel gag cartoon that I do for gocomics.com, and it's updated every Tuesday and Thursday. And it's basically just about inanimate objects, living up the little dramas that basically people would be, enduring in their place, but just kind of some pop culture jokes, some kind of just relationship and family humor in there. But so let me start warming up a little bit, getting used to the pressure, which is always a little bit different. I think Windows updated again, so everything is a little bit off because of that strange ink place or whatever software that they keep pushing. But so headed towards Halloween. And so here in Japan, Halloween is it's slowly becoming a bigger and bigger holiday, not for kids, but for older, high school and older kids, just to dress up and go out. No trick or treating or anything, just kind of hang out on the street. There's kind of gatherings where people just, and I think they mostly just go to be photographed. They come up with some humorous costume or some group kind of themed costumes, and just go to get some pictures taken of themselves. That's a big thing at the conventions here. So both the video game and manga conventions, there's a whole area for cosplay, and there's even dressing rooms and things set aside. But there's an area for photographing the cosplayers, maybe because it's a little disruptive. I think most commonly in American conventions, it happens in the just in the course of the show, people in the halls kind of walking around, and you'll stop people and ask for their photos. But in Japan, they organize it a little bit more because the number of people at those shows is so much more insane. The kind of crush and density of the crowd. Anybody stops to do anything, and it creates a lot of problems. So they have a designated area. And at Tokyo Big Sight, they have these it's funny, they almost have these little cubicles or little partitions, so the cosplayers can just occupy one of those, because the kind of supports for one of the buildings or whatever kind of jut out and create these little kind of alcoves. So every cosplayer gets their own little little spot to set up. But I think so. Halloween is not really a cosplay holiday. It's more, there's more humor, and kind of a less expensive. You're not going to spend the year sewing your Halloween costume like you would. Oh, it's a very small hand. Like you would a cosplay costume, and mostly because they're professional cosplay models now, so they can actually make money, selling their photographs or being photographed, which is insane. But oh, hey Joe, how's it going? Oh yeah, thanks for your condolences. So it was my wife's grandmother, and she was older, and so it wasn't unexpected. but she hadn't been sick or anything. It was one of those. She was at a care house after having fallen and had hip surgery. So she was at a care house and just was, talking and fine the night before, and then just in the middle of the night, which is probably the best way to do it if you have to. It's, yeah, just in her sleep. But she was kind of the last remaining kind of matriarch of the family, so I think the concern is that the cousins and family won't be doing as much together, or won't be as close without that kind of center of the family, and I think that happens a lot. But in the tradition, there are a lot of occasions, like after 49 days, I believe there's a kind of a certain number of days, but I think 49 days is the official day where your spirit goes to heaven or hell. So there's another ceremony to ensure the spirit, doesn't hang around, and so then the families will get back together at that point again too. But yeah, it was very different from any American experiences. I've had a lot more interaction with the body, which I thought was interesting. And the wake is handled differently. So yeah, it was all new to me. Yeah, so that was when I first came to Japan. I was bombarded by weddings. All of the cousins and like university friends and high school friends of my wife were getting married, so it was a bunch of weddings. And of course, now I've been here long enough, it's starting to just become funerals. Crazy. Good, yeah. So that's why I'm streaming later in the week, because it was really. I mean, I'd known the grandmother. And so this is the paternal grandmother, and they lived in the house. So it's very common that the oldest son very often will move in with with his parents. So and then that means the responsibility is, as the parents get older, to take care of them, and that reduces the need for retirement homes and things in Japan. So she was living in my in-laws' house, so I saw her all the time, and then just last year, and it was very difficult timing too, because just last year she fell and had to have the hip replacement surgery, and then the bad weather struck, and then limited, so it was very limited to who could visit her. So for maybe the last 6 months of her life, I didn't see her, because there were very strict guidelines about who could visit and when, to protect all the residents. And yeah, so that was so it was not great out of nowhere to just hear the surprise. Yeah, that she'd passed, but yeah. So, and it's a very, very elaborate and kind of much longer ceremony than I was expected to. It was over the course of 4 days, and yeah, so that was very surprising. And all the closest relatives came on the first 2 days, and then there was an official wake where then business associates or family friends or people can come. And also, because of the bad weather, I think a lot of her friends, her surviving friends, didn't attend because of the risk. And I think the event was probably smaller than it would have been, but still not hugely socially distanced or anything, so it was okay. It didn't feel too affected, because I think Japan isn't under such restriction and lockdown. But yeah, right. Yeah, Joe, you're right. Yeah. So, and the restrictions for safety are much different. So yeah. So I don't want this to be a whole big downer stream, but it was really heavy. I mean, like a emotionally heavy event, and I wasn't expecting that. There wasn't a lot of, uh, you know, uh, really big, open, weeping. It was more, smaller, upset and things, not so dramatic. 'Cause I know some funerals and things, people can, wail and throw themselves in the coffin and get very emotional, and so it wasn't so extreme like that, because Japanese people are more reserved. So those kind of demonstrations, they think of as embarrassing. So no matter what they're feeling, they're not showing it. And there's a lot of little kids. So all the cousins have little kids. So there's a bunch of little kids there, and I was surprised. I mean, they don't really understand what's going on, but I was really surprised by their attitude. And the kids were, literally just saying goodbye over and over again. And they're long ceremonies. I mean, everything, every sort of event, where there's people that are going to speak, or or religious situations where there's prayer and chanting and things. They're very long. Like the amount of time that little kids are expected to sit and behave themselves is crazy here. It's very demanding. I don't remember as a kid. I think the Catholic wedding was the longest thing I had to ever, wedding ceremony. It was the longest thing I ever had to sit through as a little kid. And that's nothing compared to some of the school ceremonies and kind of things that I've had to do here. So it's very different. The expectation of you being able to tolerate a lot more of that is very interesting here. But yeah. So it was good. I'll have all the family getting together, because since some of the kids were very young and some of the cousins hadn't really seen each other, different holiday events and things, New Year's and stuff, had become less active. So yeah, it was nice to see everybody, even though the occasion is not particularly great. But yeah, so very new experience. And so the one very big difference, I think, and I'm not sure, of the practices in all of Asia, but so cremation is the standard, and I think up until maybe the 70s, I think it was like made law as the standard in the 80s here. And previous to that, I was talking to the professor at the university who was saying he could remember as a little kid, his grandfather died when he was very young. And so in like 1970, he remembers still, I don't know if you've ever seen it in like the old samurai movie or anything, but the very old, like Edo style, probably originally Edo style, coffins, caskets. I don't know what, there's a word for them, but they're these large clay jars that a body could actually sit down in. So the body in this very, very old style, the body is put in this clay jar and is kind of seated, kind of in a upright fetal position. I don't know a better way to say that. And then the jar can be carried like, so pallbearers are carrying the jar on, so with large wooden beams. And he said in that case, the temple where they were burying the body was, or where the cemetery was not accessible to by car. So they literally had to, at a certain point, the body had to be carried, and it was quite a ways, quite a long path to the temple itself, a little bit more remote, maybe a very old style temple. And then they dug a hole, so not quite the grave style, the long, deep hole, but a circular hole, just straight down circular hole, because then they could just fit the jar in there. And then they pile a large mound of earth on top. And he was very surprised by that. Why is it make a big pile and they put the gravestone on top of the pile of earth? But the jar is intended to break down. It's not, it's not made to endure being underground. So the pressure and everything is intended to break. The jar will break down, and then the earth will settle down to the, it'll level out. But that's a very old style. And he said that still existed. So that was actually burial Yeah, in Japan as recently as the 70s. But I think now it's pretty standard just because of the population and the limited amount of land. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly, there would be no way. You'd have to build cemeteries in the ocean. You'd have to be man-made islands of cemeteries for that to actually work here. Yeah, so cremation's pretty standard, and we went to the city's crematory, and it's huge. It was crazy. I'm very nice. I mean, in kind of an '80s way. It was a very formal, nice building. It doesn't feel like a government building. It's has some design and comfort to it. There's little sitting areas and things everywhere. But we go to the floor where the bodies are brought, and it's just a series of like 20 large elevator doors. And at first I was like, oh, we're going up another elevator, and like, no, wow, those are the ovens. They were just this gigantic bank of the cremation ovens. And then of course the body is brought by like a service, like a cargo service lift, and then brought to your assigned door. And so you meet there, and like there's the last kind of goodbyes to the casket itself, and it's about 2 hours. And so you go and have lunch. That's a very strange thing. You go and have lunch, and then the ceremony continues after you've eaten, where you have whatever is left, the whatever didn't completely burn away, which is bones. And so there's a small urn that's set on a stand kind of above, above. So it's just like a big piece of fireproof ceramic tile, that thick, kind of like with kilns and things, that fireproof tile. And then so all the remains are on there, and you use large chopsticks and pick the bones from the platform, from the surface where the body was cremated, and put them in the jar. And there's different I guess there's all kinds of different ritual versions of it. Sometimes it's passed between relatives, or sometimes I guess two relatives put the same piece in together. And so that's why the etiquette in Japan is you don't pass food chopstick to chopstick, because that is only reserved for funeral, for the bones of the cremated dead. So that's why that etiquette of not passing things between chopsticks. And so that none of that happened. It was just the bones were placed in the urn, but it's a small urn, the size of it's like a ceramic coffee can. And the interesting thing is, you pick the bones from the toes and the legs, and then all the way up. So you kind of in order pick any of the larger pieces, but that still fit in the urn, pieces in the jar itself, the urn, and you do it from toe to head, so that they aren't upside down in the urn, so that the body, the pieces of the body are in order according to how they were in the body. So like the idea of people not being upside down inside the urn is important. So I thought that was an interesting detail, because they said you have to start here and go up, because they don't want people to be upside down. So the bones of the head are the last things that are placed inside. But there's a special emphasis, and what's it called? The thyroid bone? Let me double check. Yeah, there's a special emphasis. The first thing they do is the kind of attendant that opens the oven points out the thyroid bone. That little kind of wing-shaped, I'm going to make sure I got that right. The hyoid bone. Oh yeah, that's right. That came up with the that's come up before in criminal cases. The hyoid bone in the neck. So it's kind of a winged, kind of a graceful curve shape. And they set that aside. The attendant first points out that bone and then sets it aside, and that's the last bone that's put into the urn once everything is collected. And of course, there's going to be bones that are too big, like the femur was completely intact. She had very strong bones and very tall woman for Japanese woman, and so her femur bone was completely intact. So there was no way to put that in the urn, so it was just everything that kind of fit and in order, and then the hayoi bone was the last to go on top. So that's the ritual of it. So that was very new. I hadn't seen anything like that. But yeah, yeah. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, that's really cool, Joe. That sounds like a really fun wedding. Wow. But yeah, so that's the ritual, and that was very new. Yeah, that was very new style for me. It's very interesting to see, to deal with remains in that way. And I guess they would, in Edo period when there was cremation, it would just be a big pyre, and you had to stoke a pyre hot enough to burn a body. So there's probably a lot more remaining. I think the modern ovens are very strong because it just very little is left. But yeah, so very interesting. And so then the urn is then put in a box, the wooden box, and then wrapped with a cloth, and then given to the oldest sibling. And so that is those are the remains, and those are taken to the home that has, so back to her former home, that has the what was it called? The altar. I guess that we used to say altar in English. So they call it a butsudon. So butsudon is the kind of an altar for praying in a house, but it's like a little closet with a very ornamental. This one has kind of like a very gold, like carved wood that's like gold leaf that looks like heaven, and there's a lot of details. If you've seen any Buddhist temples, the kind of the main altar, the decoration of like heaven and earth and things are there, and so it's placed there for a while, and until then part of it is taken. Part of the remains are then taken to the gravesite, but I think it's a much smaller. It's like a very small amount is taken to the gravesite now because the headstones and grave areas are much smaller. So I think most of the remains remain in the home altar, the home shrine. But then there's anniversary ceremony. So every few years there's a another ceremony where the priest will come and pray again for the same person. So there's kind of anniversaries and remembrances of their death that are included in the culture. So it's not just you remembering yourself. It's actually part of the ritual. Yeah. So very new, very. Yeah, very long days. So yeah, it was 4 incredibly long days to do everything, because it started out 2 days at home and then a day at the kind of funeral home, and then the final kind of the actual funeral would have been Monday, where they cremated the body and did all the bone ceremony and everything. Crazy. Yeah, that was the thing that I was struck by. That's very different from any of my experiences of Western funerals. Is it's incredible closure, because you're spending so much time and there's so much chance to just kind of emotionally let go, to get used to the idea of that person not being there. So it's very different, because there's usually just wake, funeral, dinner, kind of food at somebody's house, kind of thing is all I'm familiar with in the past. And so this is much more time, like getting used to the idea, and especially close family. I mean, there the body is in the house, and you just kind of it's interesting too, because the body is brought from brought from the care house, her retirement home, to the family house, and then stayed there, but somebody has to be there all the time, because there's the idea that bad spirits or something bad can happen kind of spiritually to the body if it's left completely alone. So then you're always aware of that. So it's very very different, very interesting kind of variation, and much less handling by professionals. So usually people, if that situation happens, the body will go straight from the like in America, we go straight from the retirement home or hospital to the funeral home, and then they'll prepare the body, and schedule the wake and the funeral and everything, and so it's much more out of your hands. And this way, yeah, it's much more different, much more intimate, which I was surprised. All right, some. Oh, I had an idea for something seasonal. Let's see if I can actually draw that. But yeah, so always something new, and always something I'm completely, unprepared for. I'm glad I had, when I first came here just for like job interviews and stuff, I got a couple of black suits, so I always have a black suit available, which is lucky because that was very unpredictable. Which is very funny. So weddings and funerals and work, you wear black suits in Japan. That's just kind of the standard. I mean, some people do wear navy and gray and things, but oof, that's not good. But black suit is very standard, and so it's funny how multi-purpose it is. But that's also a little strange. Like, you can literally wear the same suit you wore to work to a funeral, just with maybe a different color tie. That's very odd. All right. Well. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that has to be the. Hey, Sedona. How's it going? Yeah, that has to be the. Yeah, just I guess in every culture that once people are taking over, trying to sell you services and things you'll need, and trying to upgrade the casket or whatever they're trying to do to you. What's the last thing you want to deal with, because you don't even know, unless the person has very carefully managed their finances. You don't know what you're even going to be dealing with financially after someone passes, and the more expensive, yeah, funerals get. I can't. Yeah, it just got to be insane. It's just like adding insult to injury, the feeling of that. Yeah, and that was definitely the one feeling I had through that whole process is, wow, I've seen so many jobs today that I couldn't possibly do. Like, I can't imagine emotionally being able to deal. I guess, when it's not your family, of course, you can be more emotionally removed and everything. But I couldn't imagine dealing with that much death. And just, it has to feel, because especially the funeral home, it's just, they're on a schedule, and it's just, so the at the funeral home, the wake is actually an overnight ceremony, and someone is supposed to stay with the body completely overnight, because there's a candle that's burning, and that candle has to stay lit and kind of be watched. So I think all of this probably has roots in, you know, corpse theft and all kinds of horrible things that used to happen, hundreds of years ago. So some of these rituals seem to suggest those sorts of things. Um, it's about the spirit, but it's also about, just practicality. You don't leave a body unattended. So the wake, somebody has to be there overnight, and so you have a little kind of dormitory area, like a little area where you can rest, and a little shower and everything. So yeah, so that was very different. But it's scheduled very tight. So as soon as you are leaving the funeral home, another setup, another family is coming in for their overnight wake, and that was just, I can't imagine, like, just doing the setup and breakdown, setup and breakdown, setup and breakdown of that kind of work constantly. I don't think I'm built for that. I think eventually I would just, it's just too much heaviness, and just watching people upset all the time, and yeah, it's just crazy. All right. Mm-mm. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, cool. Oh, Teespring's good. Okay, thank you for that update, Sedona. Yeah, I was really curious about their quality. Yeah, I may have to go for it and set that up and upload some designs, and maybe just kind of do stuff that would look nice on a T-shirt. Not things that are too mysterious, like what is it supposed to be? Type stuff. These look like little pumpkins. I'm trying to draw apples. Wow, it sounds like you've had some, yeah, some rough stuff. Mm. Yeah, so I could do without that experience, the funeral experience, for a while. uh, yeah, it's crazy. That's STEM. But yeah, but all of that is very new, so that's always interesting to feel the kind of big cultural difference, and the difference in thinking. I'm always kind of struck by how how different cultures think about things, and it's so there's so much consciousness of like protecting the spirit, and like guiding the spirit of someone that's passed on, and there's a lot of ritual involved. So many days after different ceremonies, and then years after anniversary of death, they have more and more ceremonies. So that's yeah, very different. But then and then also, I mean, I got whatever, maybe a more modern, even more streamlined version of a lot of the ceremonies, because I know that it gets even more elaborate. Because someone was telling me that literally after the funeral, some religions, some sects of Buddhism have, then you have to literally have the priest come every day for like a week and pray at the house. So it can get really intense and really involved, depending on which kind of version of the religion you're following. And there's a lot of variation in that. I was surprised, but that's a lot of a lot of variation. So, and that's the nice thing though, is that because there's variation, they don't expect a lot of Japanese rituals and things. They want things to be very perfect. Your etiquette should be very perfect, but because there's a diversity of belief, or just simply practice in Buddhism here, it's not so rigid. So so that they do something once, or do something twice, or do something in a different order, that could be okay for you. So we're not going to judge. So that was very different. It's not. It's most things are very perfect in how they're conducted. I think more modern religious ceremonies, they're just more flexible, because they know people have had different training or different beliefs, and people aren't so aren't as religious as they used to be. So the practices aren't so strict, and also kind of uniform. Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Yeah. The differences and the thinking is very interesting, because that comes from kind of different cultural experiences. Like, not only the religion informs that, but also just the type of the geography, the type of weather you have, the climate, and you know types of soil and stuff. I mean, that like in New Orleans, they have the above ground vaults. They don't put anything under the ground because it's so wet. Things just kind of rise back to the surface. So many bodies are buried above ground in little mausoleums or little vaults, instead of underground. So yeah, there's a huge variety of that, and because of the population density and limited space in Japan, cremation, they adopted cremation. But and I heard in China, like, that's China wants to adopt 100% cremation as well, but Western China, there's still a lot of more rural practices and things, that you're supposed to be buried on the land, and your farm, your land, you should be buried there. And so they don't practice cremation. So there's a a tension between that, because they could enforce those laws if they wanted to, but then they'd be risking upset and revolt in the countryside. So yeah, I don't know. All right, looking pretty simple. Yeah, maybe some instant coffee or something, if I can even think about what that would look like. Wow. Yeah, so keep having all of these new experiences. Yeah, my daughter here is 10, and I was surprised how she handled things, because she had, when she was younger, she had I mean, it's maybe just a normal kid phase, but she had a really morbid phase where she was like really weirdly fascinated with death and things. And so I was wondering how much of that still kind of stuck around, but she seemed pretty, involved in the ceremony, and just kind of understood the process of kind of letting go. That was interesting. Her reactions surprised me, but she's getting so much more mature. I mean, girls are so much ahead anyhow, so early teens, she's kind of emotionally much more sophisticated than you would expect. So yeah, that was nice for me to see, because I was wondering if she still had her kind of morbid obsession, or odd thoughts about it. And the funny thing is, I think she's a lot of manga and things she's been reading are a lot more obsessed with. There's one that she's reading that's basically high school or maybe junior high school. The characters look pretty young, so junior high school, but it's like half humans, half ghosts, and they kind of interact. They cross between these worlds. So if you summoned certain spirits, you can see them, and other people can't, and so you ask them for favors and things. And so because it's junior high school, you ask for favors about teachers and boyfriends and girlfriends and things. But yes, she's been reading a lot of that, and there's a lot of symbolism of funerals and rituals and religion in it, because the half of the characters are Buddhist ghosts. So yeah, so maybe that's kind of matured some of her thinking, or just kind of like sophisticated it a little bit, because those things are familiar now. Those images and things are familiar. Yeah, that's an odd story though, because it has some horror elements too, some kind of horrific things go wrong, and there's like demons and things, not on a really heavy level. That doesn't look like instant coffee, does it? But yeah, so things like that. I think she's getting more sophisticated in her understanding. So that was nice to see. Maybe this is better. Instant coffee. Yeah, I was reading something about because there was a which one is it? I think it might be Kiki's delivery service. Yeah, the one about the witch that delivers for a bakery. But there was a weird detail in that, as it's supposed to be like fantasy Europe, and there was a weird detail in that where the mother of the house was making coffee, and she makes instant coffee. And I was like, Europe, instant coffee? That seems insane. That seems very, very wrong. Like that must be like just like Asian thinking. And so I read a little bit about instant coffee, and yeah, it's much more heavily adopted in Asia. Like Nestle or whatever, is such a huge, a dominant company here for making instant coffee, and so maybe that's kind of a default thinking or whatever. But yeah, instant coffee is like above anything else. I mean, people don't have coffee makers very often. And I think it's because of the space. You have to have a rice cooker, you have to have a toaster oven. And if you've got a very tiny kitchen, you're not going to have room for a coffee maker. So instant coffee, yeah, became super popular, I think, because of Asia. But that was a weird detail showing some fantasy, like, 19th century Europe with instant coffee. I guess it wasn't. It was maybe early 20th century, because I think there were cars. But yeah, it's a very Asian thing. Trying to help the depth of this jar here. I guess that works. Wow. Yeah, I hope that's okay. Yeah, your stepdad, ouch. That sounds difficult. And sometimes the really strong antibiotics screw up your digestion and everything, because they kill everything, so they also kill the good bacteria in your stomach and everything. So it can really wreak havoc. All right. Yeah, I think this is working. Yeah, so I guess this is somewhat holiday related, but yeah, no more holiday ideas. Yes, I know. I'm also very behind on work too, so I use a lot of, because I'm busy with helping with my daughter and stuff sometimes during the week, and some teaching stuff. I have to catch up on weekends, and when my weekend just disappears, I get really far behind. So this week is all kinds of fun. Catch up. All right, let's see if I can color this stuff. Just a variety of apple colors. Oh yeah, I gotta remember the monitor and my tablet are very, very different. Eating instant coffee. Yeah, if you want the caffeine and you don't have access to the hot water, I guess. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, right. And because the caffeine's a stimulant, I guess you want to be careful with mental health patients, that you don't want to let them get too stimulated. Ah, that's crazy. I'm sure that'll be me someday. Eating instant coffee out of my pocket against the wishes of my caregivers. Yeah, that was the thing. When I had to change medication, just recently, talking to the doctor, and one of the other things I was experiencing is just like the kind of acid reflux, kind of sour stomach kind of stuff, and they so nonchalantly just say, "Oh yeah, I guess you better just stop drinking coffee." It's like, yeah, that's not as easy. I mean, it's a great recommendation, and actually not anywhere as easy as it sounds. So I can't imagine how I would just drag in the morning. That would be hard to ever adjust to. But I guess that's why they made decaf, so people that wanted the placebo effect of coffee without any actual caffeine. Yeah, I love that though. That's an odd thing. The kind of empathy, or kind of a bedside manner. What do you consider like bedside manner with doctors in Japan is really bad. A lot of times because they're medical schools are difficult to get into, very highly competitive. So the guys are very super intelligent and maybe not so socially very good. So they don't teach them like patient skills. They just want to make sure that they know all their drug interactions, and they recognize all of the symptoms of whatever diseases or whatever. And so the new style of, and this may be true in the U.S. too. It's been so long since I've been to an American doctor, but they're basically just looking at your chart and the test results and everything on a computer screen, and you're sitting over here next to them, and they're basically just talking to the computer screen and just pointing at numbers and things and says, oh, this looks good and looks like you need this and then this. Okay, so we'll schedule this test. We'll put you on this medication, whatever. Irregardless or regardless of whichever one is correct, regardless of how that's going to affect you, what the side effects are going to be, how that's going to make your life miserable. It's just not even, and even if it's not like a completely necessary test, they're like, well, we do this. If this, then this is, just very standard, very computer type response to things. So it's sometimes it feels pretty harsh, and you don't argue. You don't dare debate the doctor. That mentality is very odd. So yeah, so that's the one thing I've noticed is definitely lacking here. Not a lot of empathy from from your healthcare providers in Japan. The smaller local doctors are a little bit better, but at the big hospitals, they're pretty much factory workers, because the hospitals are so busy. They just want to get you. They just want to move on to the next one. They got to get through 20 more patients before lunch or whatever. It has that feeling. And I don't think that's ever gonna change, because the medical schools are never going to teach that. Their emphasis is completely different. I'm sure the hospitals too. They are. They just need to process those patients. And that's the weird thing too, is you go to a bunch of little windows and you like get a number and you follow these, so it's like ordering fast food or whatever. You're just waiting for your number to come up and then report to these little rooms and do your little tests and whatever, and then you sit and wait for them to give you the results and stuff. And then when you go down to pay, it's very reasonable. Like it's not, it's never insane, but you're not paying any person. You're feeding money into an ATM kind of thing. So the payment is through an ATM, like some kind of pay console thing. So that feels very weird. That last step is like super impersonal, and usually like the receptionist or the I forget the, not receptionist, but whatever you call the staff at a doctor's office that handles all payment and everything. They can at least be friendly and say, okay, so we'll see you next month or whatever. And the ATM isn't going to tell you that. So it's a very weird kind of cold last step of your healthcare, is like stuffing bills into an ATM machine for paying. And that's also kind of hard. I mean, it speeds things up, I'm sure, and lets them have less staff, but that's got to be hard for older patients, because anything goes wrong, or anything is they get confused, and then you're stuck at the hospital until you can stuff your money in the slot. Oh, black licorice, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I'd definitely have to try some more natural remedies. Yeah, I've got a stomach medicine that's kind of what they call here Chinese medicine. It's just derived from that knowledge. It's all Japanese made, but yeah. So there's certain things that I'd like to try. Yeah, the funny thing is here, they don't have antacids here, like the calcium carbonate or whatever, like Tums or Rolaids or whatever. They don't have those here. And I think because the probably abuse of those for Japanese people can probably cause some pretty bad side effects because they have a lot of digestion stuff already that we don't have in the same amounts in the West. But yeah, that was very surprising because that's just, when you're, it's just, very fast relief, and that's not even a thing here. And I'm curious, I wonder why not, but it is probably because of the risk. All right, so it's a series of apples. Maybe here. All right. Maybe, yeah, maybe like a little banner or something. Yeah, the can looks like it needs something else. One of those little banners that says home style. This kind of deal. There we go. Now the can looks more can-like. All right. I love that instant coffee story. That's great. All right, so there's a can of pumpkin something. Don't want this to be too dark. Yeah, that might work. That could work. Put this on another layer, just so I can edit it more easily. Yeah, it was funny though. So because of the funeral, it kind of brought up the question. My wife asked me, "So, what do we do with you if you die in Japan? Do you want to be sent back to America, whatever?" And that's got to be crazy because I guess you could, at incredible expense. I can't even imagine how much that would cost, but I guess you could have your remains sent. Oh, maybe I like that dirty color better. You could have your remains sent back to your home country. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I haven't given that much thought, but I don't think I'm going to care very much. So it's kind of, and that was the feeling I had very much too, is, I don't know about those colors, is that, funerals and all of the ceremonies are definitely for the living. They're definitely for the surviving family to have some comfort and help, mourn and process their grief. And it's not really, oh, you're kidding me. And it's not really doing really badly. Just trying to color this stuff. It's not really for, the or depending on your beliefs, but it's not really for the person, the deceased, as much as it is the comfort of the survivors. So I felt that, yeah, a bit. And yeah, when she asked me, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna know or care. So kind of whatever, whatever you need to do or however you need to feel, because I don't think I'm gonna. Uh, I don't think any of my immediate family is going to be surviving me. Maybe not. I mean, I don't think my parents will have anything to say about it. They'll be long gone. So yeah, I thought it was very funny though, because I hadn't thought about that, and I hadn't thought about what a nightmare. You definitely need to let people know, because that could be a really expensive nightmare if they're just assuming, I guess we shipped this guy back. I would love that too. Like, that would be what my younger brother or cousins or something. They like get a notification that my dead body is returning from Asia. I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do with that thing? Yeah, that's crazy. Mm. Yeah, but it just depends on whoops. Yeah, my daughter in the US, if she has a family, gets married or whatever, and they'll have an opinion too. All kinds of fun. All right. Oh, come on. All right, let's try to render some of this. All right. I guess that'll work as a jar of instant coffee. I have no idea. I think I've lost my joke for this one, so we'll see. There we go. Instant coffee. Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. Oh, nice. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, very well. That's amazing too. Dying, yeah, so close to one another. Wow. Yeah, I don't think I have any urns. Well, because I know my maternal grandfather was cremated. He died in his early 60s. So I was like still high school age or something. Um, but I don't think they kept his remains. I think they scattered his remains, so there isn't an urn or anything. So I thought that was odd when I was a kid. But I didn't know what the. And I think it was because it was kind of a sudden, unexpected death. It was like a sudden cardiac event. It was very shocking for the family. So maybe they that having that reminder was a little too strong. Yeah, to keep that around. I don't know. Very strange. Yeah, so the grandmother that just passed, she lived for 30 years. That's the crazy thing about Asia. She lived 30 years alone, like 30 years after her husband died. That's crazy. And there's no, I mean, maybe there is, but I haven't heard of any cases. But there's not really remarriage at that point, in a more kind of European style. So you just remain, the widow. You're not like mourning, but you remain a widow for so long that. But 30 years of just being alone is very odd. That's a very big difference. But because of the longevity, so basically, like any smokers or anybody, it's usually smokers, but men die in their 60s here if they were heavy smokers or really didn't take care of themselves, and women live into their 90s. So there's always going to be that gap. So maybe someday there'll be more second marriages here. But actually, no, maybe not, because I really think that the stress and kind of abusive nature of some of the marriages here, it's just too much of a relief, and they can't even imagine going back to married status where they have to listen to somebody tell them what to do. Yeah, I suspect that it's just too different because of such a male-dominated culture. It's just a relief to not have to do that anymore. Yeah, but but in your 60s to be like totally free, to just be a teenager again. You do see some of that. There's groups of women in their 60s and 70s that have all kinds of activities and take trips together and stuff because they all have their dead husband's money and they've got nothing to do but enjoy life. So yeah, a lot of groups of older women acting like teenagers. All right, well, some odd colors. I'm still not sure if maybe it should be a warmer color. Maybe orange. Maybe. Let's see what that looks like. Turn all this off. Like a more muted orange color. Just because of the season, I guess. Joe is back. Oh, yeah, the 3rd. Do you think anything will be resolved by the 3rd? I think we're going to be in disputed legal battles until forever, because they're not going to be any gracious losers in this contest. Oh yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want the 3rd to come and go as soon as possible too. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not looking forward to people's reactions. But yeah, a lot of the news, though, it's very funny how Asia is going. And I don't know if it has to do with like recent revelations or whatever, like, laptops that were left at repair shops. I don't know if it has to do with that, but I'm reading a lot of stuff about like Taiwan and South Korea and Japan are kind of pro-Trump now. Like they want Trump to win because of China. Because of the aggressiveness of China, the assumption, and these are never correct, like these are never, they're just based on, what these countries are gathering from the limited communication and then, social media and the news media in the U.S. But they are, a lot of Asia is very nervous about how China's going to react to a Biden presidency. So I have no idea. I mean, that's very sad. It's really sad to see that. So yeah, I don't know what is gonna happen, and how the world's gonna respond. I think Europe would be so happy to actually be able to normalize relations with America again. Oh, and not have to feel like the parent, the disappointed parent, scolding their obnoxious kids that have no manners. and are very selfish, very like self-obsessed. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's yeah, somebody said that. It was somebody on some podcast I was listening to. It's like our choices between selling America to Russia or selling America to China. Which one sounds better? Yeah, I have no idea. Mm. Yeah, yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, that's they were talking about, and we finally know because they were talking about the October surprises, because last election October surprises was the Stormy, was it Stormy Daniels? Yeah, I think Stormy Daniels and all of the sexual misconduct and abuse and allegations from women. So they paraded out all of these women to go after Trump, and so that was the Democratic October surprise. And it even got, I remember like right before the election, there was like talk of like a 13-year-old girl, and there was that they were that just came and went really fast in the and I guess you can say anything, and as long as you're not, you can put forward whatever kind of spurious gossip that you want, as long as you're not part of an organization that can be sued, or saying that you have any proof of anything, you can just whatever. But yeah, the accusations were getting crazy. I think like last election, October. Oh, and then that's right. And then the weird Comey, the hard, not hard drive, yeah, maybe hard drive, the email stuff, and the reinvestigation, or right in October, like right before the election, that we have to look again at the emails, the Clinton emails, and yeah. So always October is full of stupidity. Uh, yeah, right, right. You believe it? Well, I think he would have to if he loses, but if he loses, just like he was threatening last time, there's going to be a Trump news network or some horrible, he's going to establish some horrible media company. And I don't know. I don't know what's worse, is to have him like talking freely on TV and Twitter, or to have a news organization with like employees that are going to be putting his message out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Comey, that was so screwed up. I don't know. And uh, it's just going to get ugly, because I mean, I think if he wins, then protesting is going to get much more severe, much more organized around, protesting his presidency, his reelection, and then if he answers that with force, or kind of, forces by withholding federal funds or whatever, to force cities to take measures, we're just going to have more and more of that, yeah, street violence for a while. Just protests that are just, keep flipping into violence and injury, and attack, because it's going to be attacking federal buildings and stuff now, because if they're going to protest the federal election, it's going to be all those same buildings. I don't know. I just, yeah, it's really hard to watch. I guess it's worse to be in the middle of it. It'd be worse to have your apartment be in the middle of it, but it's hard to watch from a distance. Hmm. The golden shower. Oh man, yeah. That I forget. It was a comedy podcast. It wasn't news or anything, but yeah, they were talking about that whole Russian prostitute golden shower thing was like specifically because whatever hotel they were at, they were staying in the suite where Obama had stayed. Yeah, that's the rumor that I keep hearing about, is that correspondence dinner that happened during the Obama administration, Trump attended that, and Obama said something to him that like deeply offended his weird, ego, his weird pride, and that some people suspect that was the motivation for him running for president, is because if he was insulted by something Obama said, the next time he saw him, they were like, Obama was transferring power. Like they met and they were meeting in the Oval Office or in the White House, whatever. That little meeting to kind of that transference of power that happens in January. So that's sick. I mean, that is like that is a sociopath if that's actually true. That this was just like to vindicate some personal insult. And I don't remember the specifics of it, like what he specifically said. Yeah. Oh God. Oh jeez. Well, we won't be bored. Let's say we'll be so angry, and I don't know though. 4 more years. I think we're gonna have a what, Washington, Oregon, California secession during the second Trump term. I could see that happening. Uh, just because, yeah, that's the part of the country that's the most fed up and has the support from the local government. All right. So, maybe I should do some shadows on the little coffee granules. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and anybody that wants that job though has to be a huge narcissist and pretty power hungry. But yeah, I don't, and I don't know how you fix, because, well, I know how they're going to try to fix it, or if heard, if Democrats get back into power, how they're going to try to prevent. Oh, I'm eating last week's cookies. How Democrats are going to try to prevent this from happening again. But how do you? I mean, this. Well, I don't know. He's kind of a unique situation, but there's got to be another psychopath out there that wouldn't mind running under the Republican on the Republican ticket for next time. Mm. Yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, I just it would be nice to leave 2020 in a different state, but I think different things being different, something looking better. But we're gonna go into 2021 in the exact same situation. Bad weather, same president, same social unrest. Just gonna be the same damn thing. I wonder how much of the 20s we're gonna lose. The 2020s. I wonder how much of this decade we're gonna lose. Uh, mm Yeah, that was the whole thing. I was so surprised by the the Democrats not being able to beat Trump, but also how angry his own party is at his existence. It's like he must be entirely powered by spite. Like that is his like his life's blood. Just spiting everybody, making everybody just disgusted by his existence, keeps him going. That's why he could beat a virus, is because it can't attack spite cells. There wasn't anything else, but yeah, to have your own party have no so many not defectors, but some people that don't deserting their support for you, and talking badly in his own party, plus yeah, the Democrats just furious hatred. It's a very unique situation. At least in my lifetime, I don't remember because I wasn't alive for Nixon, so I don't know those feelings. But yeah, in my lifetime, there has never been a, well, I mean, Bush Jr. was really hated, the kind of Iraq War time. There was a lot of anger because, and that was the thing too. So, I mean, yeah, that was something that was really frustrating is, like, and I think I'm repeating myself, but, like Kurt Vonnegut, and I think even Hunter S. Thompson, like, kind of specifically mentions them, like, being stifled or just kind of like shut down creatively because they can't even deal with the fact that this, the kid of, Bush was president, and that it was a weird stolen election. That was that weird election that was decided in the Supreme Court, and that so many people were just kind of, and that had survived Nixon, had survived the '60s, had survived the Vietnam War, and the peace movement and everything, had gone through all of that, and were still like, Bush was more than they could handle. Yeah, that was amazing. So I hope that's not the case. I hope there aren't people that are just kind of surrendering to this, because it too shall pass. Yeah, I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, but he definitely kind of fortified, like how Trump fortified his position by choosing Pence as his running mate. So, like, anybody on the left that's like, well, we could just take him out, and like, yeah, but then you have a Christian conservative president. Uh, yeah, that's what made the fly extra funny. With Pence is like, that's always like the sign that, Lord of Flies and Lies and Deceit. That's always like, flies are always that death and cursed kind of thing, and for him to have a fly on his head, his whole conservative Christian contingency must have gasped. Uh, yeah, that made that extra funny. Yeah, but nobody can even imagine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. That it was it couldn't have gotten worse than Bush Jr., and it did. And the weird thing about Bush Jr. is how, like, after out of office, I mean, he was so hated in office, and out of office, he's just like this retired guy painting, and like, he didn't stay, unlike his father, I think, who stayed involved in a lot of, whatever the CIA was up to when he was, director or whatever. Like, Bush Jr. did not seem involved in politics at all. And there was events where, the Obamas and the Bushes were like, enjoying the festivities together. Like, he did not maintain his villainous character out of office. That was really funny. I was like, oh, he's just a harmless little guy. But I mean, I really, don't think it was Bush Jr. at all. It was that whole apparatus, Cheney and all those private interests. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, Sedona having to rebel against that cannot be easy. All right. Okay, well, we got a couple of simple cartoons this week. Yes, even the fly knew. Yeah, right. Or that it's just he was just an animated corpse. He's a lich or something, something not of this world. That would have been a great reveal. I think people were waiting for that, or people were waiting for the his lizard tongue to catch the fly out of his hair. That's the all the political leaders are lizard people. All right, no more coffee. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we can take a look. He was rotting. That's so funny. Yeah, television is just so strange, and politicians are just not built for TV. I mean, I think it was very clear in the '60s that it was a bad idea to put politicians on television. Uh, yeah, they're just visually not not made for it. Oh man. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's. Well, I mean, his that white hair and that black fly, and that very visible fly on that white hair, that white sprayed little hair helmet. That's so funny. Uh, yeah, and that's the thing you always have to think about too. So we've got all of these people in play that basically, when the Democrats chose Biden as the candidate, um, there were still a lot of people that were pretty, a lot of Democrats that were still pretty active. Like all of the people that they kind of stepped down, they kind of just, backed off. And I think it was only, there were only a couple of people that didn't immediately kind of follow, orders and get behind Biden. But those people are all still in play, and what is going to be their role in a Biden administration, or what's going to be their role if they're going to then be actively opposing Trump. Like what's her face was pretty dominant in the I can't think of anybody's name, but was pretty dominant in the hearings for the or the Supreme Court nominee hearings. What's her face? But yeah, so we'll see. All those people are still around. They didn't go anywhere. So we'll see what happens. All right. All right. Oh yeah. So let's do the comments from last week. Klobuchar, thank you, Ben. Jeez. Thank you, Ben. I'm the absolute worst when it comes to names, saying names into a webcam. Yeah, I never would have come up with her name, but yeah, she was really part of that. So they're all. I don't know. I'm really curious what how those things are gonna shake out, and especially well, just like they asked Kamala. I forget, it was one of the talk shows said, you went after Biden really hard during the Democratic primaries, and and now you're his VP pick. Like, how does that work? And she's like, it's just a debate. It's just it's just political theater. And so I'm really curious though how many other Democrats feel that way, and what the party's gonna look like, either with or without Trump around. Sorry, let me fix my. Thank you so much, Ben. Fix the microphone here. It was almost hitting the table. Oh, Feinstein. Yeah, I only saw some. I only saw highlights. I couldn't. I was surprised though. C-SPAN like did the whole hearings, like just they broadcast or live streamed every minute of the hearings. Or was it Feinstein that asked the sexual misconduct question? Or I have to ask this: have you ever been involved? And maybe she was just trying to be more even-handed, because you know if it would be a man, that would be the first thing that they would go after. So because it was a woman, it's like, well, we ask all the men this, but I think I'm sorry I have to ask you this, but this is a standard way we attack Supreme Court nominees. Have you ever sexually abused or made someone uncomfortable, or said anything? If that's what you're talking about. I thought that was very funny. Yeah, Feinstein having to Was it Feinstein? Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember if it was her or the Hawaiian, the representative from Hawaii. Uh, but that's what I'm going to say on stream from now on. I cannot. What was her kind of like? It sounded like a Fifth Amendment pull where she was saying, I cannot speculate, I cannot decide, I cannot criticize, speculate, or whatever on other judges' rulings or on situations that may come in front of me as a court. So there were so many things. They were getting her to try to state any kind of position, and then she just was pleading the judicial's fifth. Oh, at the end of the hearings, yeah. No, what did Feinstein? Yeah, I missed that. I'm not sure I know what you're referring to, Joe, but yeah, I didn't see. I just saw kind of random highlights. So I don't think I got a good idea of yeah, kind of the major events. Oh, sorry, wait. Sedona, you guys getting messages blocked? Sorry, man. Oh yeah, and if I read those, maybe I would know what you were talking about. Okay, let's see. Oh wow, yeah, yeah, yeah. The mom. We're talking the mommy fetish of pens. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, what did Feinstein do? What are you referring to? I don't know if I've heard, or I don't know if I saw anything about that. Uh, all right. Well, let me switch over to comments and see what happened last week. Whoops. There we go. Close enough. There we go. Oh, my green screen is not keying. Great. Yeah, I guess I just got to get more even lighting. Maybe I'll put something on the ground. It looks like it's, yeah, put a light on the ground. Ah, crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's the Yeah, I guess I mean I guess she's gonna pass. So I'm very curious about what the Supreme Court is gonna look like, and then what cases are gonna be um, put in front of them, like most immediately, like what's gonna come in front of them, because that could change things a lot. All right. So what was this? October 15th. Yes. They spent most of the night in desperate need of an ashtray. All right. An ashtray. Okay, so ashtrays are vanishing species these days. An ashtray is whatever and wherever you find it. That's true. And one reply. Or drink the first beer quickly. That was my joke. All right. And October 13th. Oh, that's right. My wonky coffee cup. She said, "Did a good job in running the hearings." Oh no way! Really? I gotta find that. Oh, I totally missed that. Great job running the hearings and hugged him. Oh my god! Wow. Oh, crazy. Yeah, that's the crazy thing is life appointments. That's the thing about the Supreme Court that's so creepy. It's the only because when you think of even though senators and other politicians can maintain power for so many decades of their life, it's the American system seems to, even if it's doing something wrong, it only lasts for a limited amount of time because of term limits, and people can get a better version of things. Um, that lifetime appointment. So, as the Supreme Court becomes more partisan and people are thinking about, oh, these are the conservative judges, these are the liberal judges, and their lifetime appointments, that's, yeah. I mean, that's definitely why people are freaking out, because you think of the damage you can do in the, 40 remaining years of your life. I don't know how old she is, but yeah, she could be there for a while. So, yeah, it's crazy. All right. Well, that is a wonky looking coffee pot. So October 13th, bottomless cups of coffee seem strangely addicted to refills. Another 3 messages. Bottomless mugs of beer have the same problem. One regular in the morning. Any more caffeine? Any more caffeine free? Wow. I'm gonna have to do that someday. That's depressing. Ed. Okay. Route 6. Wait. Is. Oh yeah. That's maybe that's what. It's definitely looking like a Southwestern diner coffee coffee pot and mug. All right. Let's try a couple of random ones. 2011. Oh, look at this. Little people were criticized. Little people were so critical of his marginal cuteness. Yeah, Fisher Price Little People. That's. I'm not making a specific size reference of his marginal cuteness. Oh, marginally interesting. Okay, 2017. He never thought he would ever feel so undrinkable. Yeah, funky rainwater. Oh, there we go. Oh, 07. That's a crazy looking paper towel. No matter what he did, he could never manage to be more than a lowly single ply. All right. Come on, website. 2011. Oh, yeah, this has come up a bit. This was actually a popular when I was doing prints of these at shows in Japan. I did like a bilingual version. No one seemed interested in a tall, cool glass of miso soup. This ice cubes or tofu cubes? I know the little green ones are seaweed. Yes, it is tofu floating in the cold miso soup. All right, and one more. 2007. A world where all decent radio was on satellite was far more horrible than anyone imagined. Oh yeah, that's right. That was the beginning. So what was that? 2007. Yeah, beginning of satellite radio. That's right. The death of free radio. I lied. One more. 2006. Look at those wonky looking speakers. That's definitely a marker. A marker drawing. Buzzing with apprehension, the speakers were unwilling to create a total home theater experience. Oh, come on. Nobody even saw that one. A total home theater experience. Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, miso soup. Usually, like, you don't use a spoon with it. Any of the pieces in it, you can just use your chopsticks. So most people, are just drinking out of the bowl. Yeah. But, Wow, that's funny. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Joe, yeah, I didn't see that at the end of the. Yeah, I don't think I made it to the last day. I think I just like watched highlights from the first couple of days. Yeah, I love that instant. Can you get that in the US? The little instant miso that has like the little dried tofu and seaweed and everything. And the good one has, instead of powder, it's a paste. So the miso is actually a paste. And then there's the little dried parts, and you just put hot water in it, and instant miso. Good stuff. All right. Let's switch back and try to write these. Yeah, so I'm going to have to. It's not going to go so long today because my wife's got a crazy work schedule this week to kind of make up for missed time. So I got to go pick up my daughter from school and get her fed and everything. So a little bit less time than usual. So I can't go all the way to dinner time because I gotta pick her up from school. Yeah, so she missed a lot of school too. That's crazy because she's got a lot of club activities and stuff over the weekend. So yeah, that 4-day weekend, yeah, she missed a lot of stuff too. So my daughter's been playing catch up too. But so I guess the school club, she's getting towards the end of junior high school, so the school clubs become more important. And she went with one of her friends that is in the kendo club. So kendo, if you haven't seen, it's kind of like Japanese fencing. It's the the long is it bamboo or wood? I don't. Yeah, I think it's bamboo. It's like a stylized because it makes a lot of sound. It makes a very loud sound. It's like a bamboo sword, and they wear the very traditional kind of protective gear. So like a face screen and protection for shoulders and your chest. So kind of like yeah, fencing. And she was talking to her friend and watched them spar a little bit. And the friend said something really interesting that my daughter was really inspired by, and I think that's her. It was appealing to kind of her Japanese side. But her friend told her that if you lose in a match, you can't blame the other person, and you can't blame your equipment. There's nothing. The only person that made a mistake was yourself, and you should be grateful for being shown that mistake, because the only thing that can do is make you better. So that losing them, you need to be grateful when you lose a match, because it's your error, and now your error has been shown to you, and you should be grateful that now you know that, and you can move forward, trying to fix that about your style or your approach or whatever. And my daughter thought that was the coolest thing. So she told us last night at dinner. So I thought that was very funny. Yeah, that's definitely appealing to her Japanese nature. Uh-oh. Sorry, I censored. Let me grab the window. Oh, Joe. They're detecting all of your numbers. That's funny. Yeah, let stop. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. Sedona. I thought that was a very interesting teaching form, and because, and I think that's an important like approach for kids to think, because especially the Japanese kids are crazy competitive, and when they get really destroyed when they lose, because they work so hard, there's so much discipline and so much, they want to be so perfect, and so to kind of put loss or failure in the right perspective, I think is really important, because especially for entrance exams and getting into the interviews, getting into companies and stuff, if anybody fails, they get suicidal. It's just the the end of things. They don't do well to kind of regroup and try again. Yeah, very like ultra goal oriented, and so failure is taken really hard. So that's cool to put it in those nice terms. All right. So let's see here. Oh yeah. We're writing. We're trying to write. If I can find my cursor. All right. So, oh yeah. So, the thought I had, or the joke that I had. First, I was going to do the size of coffee, the handles of coffee mugs, but I think that's a lame joke. But the idea of instant coffee is coffee. That you make coffee, and then you remove the water, so that then you can put the water back in it. I like the kind of nonsense, or the silliness of instant coffee. So I wanted to do something related to that. I can't get my mic off camera. I think the camera's a little low. Let me see. It's about the same height. I don't know. My setup is just a mess here. But this microphone, it's too heavy to put up high, because I'll be knocking into it all the time. So low off frame seemed to be the best solution. All right. So they were trying to understand. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be hard to make this a concise, efficient joke. So taking out the water just to put it back in. Dehydrated coffee jokes, yes. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm subjecting you to this. Yes. Removing. So instant coffee. Um, instant coffee would be more instant if they didn't take the water out in the first place. Um, something like that. So instant coffee would have been more instant. This is too long. Remove the water in the first place. I don't even know if that joke is gonna hit. It's way too long. Yeah, maybe just something about if you had to, if instant coffee needed water, why did they take it out in the first place? Or he told them that they took it out. Instant coffee would have been more instant if they never removed the water in the first place. Or or maybe literally dehydration. Yeah, instant. We're talking about the speed of something, or fossilized coffee. Instant coffee was actually fossilized, or what's the cryogenically frozen coffee? Um, or dehydration, rehydration, something. Yes. So so yeah, let's see. So the water being some key to everything. Yeah, that might be the that might be something, yeah, with the instant coffee, that they had figured out so far that water seemed to be the key to everything, seemed to be the key to what was missing. Something. Drinking dehydrated coffee, really in an incident. Yes. Or instant coffee, or like a time joke, like instant coffee existed in this form, this pre-coffee form. Yeah, something. Just add water. Uh, uh, uh. They're expecting something. Yeah, I don't think the drawing is clear enough. I'm going to have to say instant coffee to be sure that it doesn't quite read. I guess coffee mugs, though. It. So the coffee was made at the regular amount of time to make coffee, and then it was dehydrated to then become instant. Well, yeah, they were wondering about the amount of work that went into creating coffee that was instant. Oh boy, a little dry. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, yeah. They're waiting. Yeah, I like that, Joe. Yeah, there's some like they're waiting for something. They don't know. They don't know that it's hot water, but they're waiting for something. Um, yeah, they're expecting something to happen very suddenly. Um, so they were nervous about how sudden the instant coffee process would happen. Yeah, something like that. So about the violent all right. It's gonna be a lot of typos in there. There's got to be a way to make that shorter. They were concerned about the violent chemical reaction that could create coffee instantly. Yeah, so something about the process of instantly making coffee being scary. Concerned. There got to be a better word than concerned. Afraid of. Yeah, something like that. Capable of making coffee instantly. They were afraid of the violent chemical reaction capable of creating... That might be it. I can't believe I torture everyone with this process. I've done this for years now. I've done this for a couple of years. Sat through this writing process. It's either the most interesting or most miserable part of the live stream. They were afraid of the violent chemical reaction the violent chemical reaction capable of creating coffee instantly. Afraid of the type or the... Yeah, they were afraid of the violent chemical reaction that was capable... The violent chemical reaction capable of creating coffee instantly. Maybe that was... afraid of a violent... Or no, maybe the... It has to be the... So they were afraid of the violent chemical reaction capable... I think it has to be that was... To make it more clear, I don't think that... I think it grammatically it might be okay, but it's not as clear. They were afraid of the violent chemical reaction that was capable of creating coffee instantly. That's it. That's as close as I'm going to get. Yes, instant. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The violent chemical reaction. Oh, that was instant coffee. Oh, that's much. Yeah, yeah. That's so much shorter too. Oh, Ben. Damn, that's good. That's very good. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah, that was instant coffee. Because then that eliminates any confusion. So, where am I breaking this here? Maybe chemical? Violent chemical reaction. Maybe I'll break it here. Yeah, there, looks better. And reads better. The violent chemical reaction. Afraid of the violent chemical reaction that was instant coffee. Nice, much more elegant. Oh, Joe, you got censored again? Let me check. Oh, I didn't see it. I thought I clicked a view. Let me check. There we go. Yeah, they keep catching you even when you use numbers and things in your profanity, Joe. The filter keeps catching that for some reason. That's really funny. Yes, the chemical reaction of water. Nice. Nice. Beautiful, Ben. That, yeah, that made that much more concise. Yeah, the shorter it gets, the better the kind of punch. Yeah, as the what is that? The brevity. Brevity is the heart of wit, or the whatever. Wit. Yes. So short and sweet is always much more effective. Violent chemical reaction that was instant coffee. Maybe a lightning bolt, yeah, is involved. All right. What's going on here? Oh, yes, pie filling jokes. Boy. Oh, it's not even the numbers. Wow. Yeah, maybe just the. I wonder, yeah. I wonder what keeps catching the filters. Yeah, and I thought for sure that I opened this up to. Yeah, on the stuff for the channel that I loosened the moderation, the auto mod thing to very free. It's very weird, but yeah, I think recently all the media companies are being very careful, so that yeah, they don't want us to talk politics, especially in text that they can follow. That's funny. Don't say anything. Yeah, I can't believe the I'm totally forgetting the legal term, but the with the monopoly. What is that called? Oh my god, this is the worst. The suit that is so similar to Microsoft. What the U.S. government did to Microsoft in the 90s. Yeah, to break up a monopoly, it's a whatever action. I'm totally blanking, but yeah, that they're going to go after Google. I mean, Google's huge, but that's gonna. I guess Microsoft was pretty huge too, and they said that's the reason that Bill Gates stepped away from Microsoft, is after those hearings and stuff. It's like, I guess I'm not doing so much good for the world. I guess people don't see me as a good guy bringing them a wonderful desktop experience. Yeah, I'm totally blanking. But yeah, so Google now is going to go. And what they said that it's even like the next presidential term, it might even take longer than that for that to even get anywhere. And Google's got a lot more tricks, I think, than Microsoft does, and a lot more. They're kind of spread out all over the world and whatever. But the one thing that I heard, antitrust. Thank you, yeah, Ben. I need you in my ear. I'm gonna get an earpiece with Ben connected on the trial. Yeah, the antitrust suit. Yeah, against Google. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's very. That'll be interesting to see. But I think Google is a much more sophisticated company than Microsoft was at that time. I think Microsoft was just doing stupid. They had just really stupid business practices, and they put the Explorer into the Windows operating system. And Google's going to be trickier. But I did hear somebody say that if the tech companies work this well, they can say, "Oh yes, please regulate us. Please regulate us. Yes, we will pay license fees, and oh, of course, if we do anything wrong, or that that you deem unacceptable, we'll pay fines for that." And so if they can set this deal up with the government correctly, it's going to cement those 5 companies, 6 companies as the only presence in certain markets, because no new emerging company is going to be able to afford whatever it's going to take to compete, and then whatever you're going to have to pay off the federal government to do. So it actually might ultimately work out in their favor that that they got this that this regulation thing started, because if it can kind of go their way a bit, then it will cement kind of the top companies in their positions, and gonna eliminate competition from smaller companies in the future. No one's going to be able to enter a market. And, I think everything's gone through that, like television and radio and everything did that exact same thing, where licenses and starting a television station or starting a radio station became so expensive that there wasn't anything new ever. So now the internet will do that for us. Yeah, but if they get it to go their way, that'll be really depressing. I'm seeing my cursor like in 3 different places. I can't even tell which one's the real one. Is it the one that's streaming, or is it the one that's on the next screen? Okay. There we go. Yeah, that's right. And this happened like right as both the Apple and Google with Android and Apple with their iOS was like trying to clamp down on people that were subverting their 30% cut for. So if you have a pay app or an app that has subscription or something, it needs to go through their payment system so they get their taste. And both Android and Apple were trying to enforce that, and now, yikes, that's going to be a mess. Yes. Crazy. All right. Yeah, so what is this joke? So I tried to put some little more texture on the apples. So something about, pie filling in a can. Yeah, that was the most depressing thing. Somebody said that pumpkin pie filling, like the canned pumpkin pie filling, is not even, it's just boiled down beets or something. Yeah, it's like a vegetable. It's a vegetable that's cooked down to give you that texture, and then it's flavored, as if you would flavor a pumpkin pie with cinnamon and whatever else. And so that the filling of pumpkin pie there's no pumpkin in it. It's just all of the spices that traditionally would have, gone into it. So they don't even use pumpkins. I mean, pumpkins are strictly decorative gourds that you can eat their seeds now. Because, which is funny because Japanese pumpkins are amazing. They're really sweet. I guess I've had kind of pumpkin desserts here, but it's not quite the same. Oh shit! Oh no. Okay, well, no. I accidentally clicked the 3D workspace. I don't even know why that is a thing. There's a 3D workspace button in Photoshop that I was trying to click the accept for the text. Oh geez. Okay, there we go. And if you click that, then it switches into this like completely other psychotic and I guess on this machine it'll run okay, but on my older machines, anytime I did that, it would almost crash the software because it took a lot of CPU to like then start rendering your image. Like it would put a grid in it, like a perspective grid, and then like start to render everything as 3D elements. I'm sure there's a use for that, but not for this cartoon. Yeah, something about the so they were doubtful about about making a pie from a can. Or what it took what it took to fill a pie, or what. Let's see. Oh yeah, so they were wondering if pumpkin pie was made from a can, what was apple pie made from? Oh, but that's a question. I can't write it as a question. Let's see. Pumpkin pie filling. Pumpkin pie made from a can made them wonder what apple pie was made from. Yeah, I like that, like the weird sinisterness of apple pie. Them not understanding what went into apple pie. Yeah, right. The same, all going to the same place in the end, into the pie. Yeah, I like the apples not having any clue about what is an apple pie. Pumpkin pie was made from a can. What went into apple pie? Or something about filling or dessert. Or yeah, the can didn't have the heart to tell them. They would both be made. They would both end up pies. Oh yeah. That kind of works with the similar idea. Pumpkin pie filling didn't have the heart to tell them. Yeah. Which is better? Or the modern the advancement in pie filling technology was still not going to save them. Into the pie. Let's see. Yeah, I like the can not being able to tell them that they were both headed to the same place. They didn't know what was in a pie. Sure. Surprised that apples didn't know. Yeah. What was in an apple pie? Let's see. I'm gonna come at this from some other. They're gonna end up in the same place. For some reason, the apples. Didn't know or didn't understand. What they were doing there. Yeah, nothing too morbid. I like the just naive apples. All right. Yeah, they would all end up as pie filling. The unavoidable truth. Yeah, like unavoidable truth. They needed to confront. Oh, this is already super long. Or maybe just the unavoidable truth. Yeah, instead of all this, they needed to. Unavoidable. Unavoidable. And up in pies. Oh, that's pretty short. The unavoidable truth was that. No, was they would all. No, was that they. Was. The unavoidable truth was they would all end up in pies. Yes, the change was unavoidable. Nice. I like that. Jerry said it worse. Nice. The beginning of the end for the apples. The unavoidable truth was that they would all end up in pies, as pies. The unavoidable truth was that they would all end up as pies. There's something not great about the rhythm of that. Let's make this up a little bit. Or just the truth was. The seasonal truth. The truth of the season. The harsh nature of dessert. Oh, I like that. Harsh realities of dessert. Okay. Let's try that. The harsh realities. If I can spell. It's a little wordier. Oh, it almost fits on one line. The harsh realities of dessert meant they would all end up as pies. Something like that. That's closer. At least I'm amusing myself. I like the phrase, the harsh realities of dessert. I'll end up in pies or as pies. Yeah, I'll end up as pies, maybe. The harsh realities of dessert. Sure. Yeah, I think that works. All right. The harsh realities of dessert meant they would all end up as pies. And they were afraid of the violent chemical reaction that was instant coffee. Beautiful. Thank you for the help, Ben. That was very nice. Very economical word choice. The harsh realities of dessert meant they would all end up as pies. I think that'll do it. It's seasonal-ish. All right. All right. Yeah, I like the violent chemical reaction. That must be instant coffee. Excellent. Oh, thanks, Joe. Yeah, thank you for your input. That helps a lot to try to get a different, because if I get stuck in one kind of meaning or one kind of idea, it's hard to think around it. And a lot of this, I like the, I think you've noticed, like suffering through me writing these, is I'll get stuck on a phrase I think is funny and want to like incorporate that in the idea, like the violent chemical reaction and harsh realities of dessert. I like silly phrases that just have like an odd or original tone. They get the idea across. That always helps. And those are the things that make me laugh more than yeah, certain kind of visual combinations of odd things or whatever. I think that works. Nice. Yeah, thanks for watching, Ben. It's really fun to have you on stream. And of course, every time I completely get stuck, yeah, it's really funny. I guess it's just like there's like a weird, like extra, like nervous level or something, like something invisible that I go blank. Yeah, trying to think of things, and it becomes really funny because it's like, and then the guy that does the thing that was in that movie with the, yeah, it becomes just a bunch of nonsense. Yes, I would never have come up with Klobuchar or antitrust on my own. All right. Well, good. Yeah. So yeah, nothing from the convenience store this week. I didn't. Oh yeah, that was the really difficult thing. Is through this whole process, kind of the most convenient food was just sushi. So there was just platters and platters of, very standard kind of, not. I think we had one night we had like some nicer, more expensive sushi, but yeah, like the combination of death and cold fish is not comforting at all. Like I just needed, and it was kind of cold and rainy over the weekend too, so I needed some warm comfort food through this whole process, and it was just cold fish. So that was harsh. That's a very bad combination. But yeah, so by Monday I was so tired of eating sushi. But it's convenient. It's like, you can always have it around, and just kind of different variations of it, but everything was very cold and very yeah, nothing, no comfort about it. There should have been some miso soup or something, but it was all cold fish. All right. But yeah, so that will do it for this week. And thanks, as always, Joe and Ben and Sedona. I really appreciate hanging around. It's really interesting to hear what you guys are up to and what you're going through. And yeah, I hope it didn't start out too heavy. And that's the reason I was like really reluctant to live stream on Tuesday, because it would have just been all death and dying, and yeah, that would have been a little too dark maybe even for this season. But yeah, so I will be back next week. And so abusecartoons.com is the website, and you can read the archive on gocomics.com/domestic abuse, and on Twitter at Abuse Cartoons. And then, of course, the Twitch and YouTube channels are both Abuse Cartoons. And if you want to support the cartoon, get involved and get some collected books signed or some original art. There's still some of that around. Please visit patreon.com/abusecartoons. I gotta keep all this straight. All right, so let's call it quits for this week. And thank you very much for joining me. Oh yeah, and definitely, Joe. Yeah, send me an email, Joe, and let me know, what you're interested in as far as the tools from Japan, and I will see you next week. So thanks for joining me. Stay safe and hang in there. I guess it's going to be basically almost Halloween, or it will be post-Halloween, because what is it? Today is the 20... Oh, not quite. Yeah, I'll be back before Halloween, so maybe another chance to try some seasonal candy jokes. I don't know. But everyone take care, and see you next week. Goodbye.